I'm Chris, you're watching FRAG-MENTAL. Time for the spring fragrances list. Stay tuned to FM. So I found some daffodils for the video today. Daffodils to me just signify the start of spring, and I just thought it would look nice to have a splash of colour in the background, so I'm very privileged to be sitting here in the museum gardens in York. I'm here early in the morning. I'm trying to do this before all the tourists start coming in. So I've got 10 fantastic spring fragrances that I'm going to be showing you today. These are a mixture of designer and niche. They're 10 fragrances that I'll be heavily rotating through this spring, so let's start the list. All right, let's kick off the list with a cheapie. This is one for the coffee lovers, Rochas Man. This fragrance gets a lot of love. You'll see many people talking about this, and it's because it's just so enjoyable, so easy to wear. So the main things I get out of this are a lovely milky coffee note paired with this lavender. It doesn't feel particularly full-bodied or rich or natural, but it smells great. There's some lily of the valley in this one as well, which is giving us this kind of green freshness. So to me, it is quite a spring-like fragrance, and despite having coffee, which can sometimes be a darker note, it's still quite a bright fragrance. It's got a lot of airiness, so I really enjoy wearing this any time of year. I think it really, for me personally, I think this excels in spring. The best thing about this is the price. For this 50ml bottle, you'll be paying between £20–25, and I assume it's probably the equivalent in dollars, so great spring pickup. Got a niche one for you next. This one was released last year in 2019, Absolute Beauty from Renier Perfumes. This works any time of year, but for me, again, this one really excels in the spring. It's Delirious. So from this one, I get like a green tropical fruit. It's big, it's rich, it's well-rounded. There's a little bit of slightly earthy vetiver in there as well. This is just bright and uplifting and full of life, really represents what spring is to me. It's inspired by the ancient Taino Indians who lived off the land in South America. And I would say this one, it's fun, it's interesting, quite artistic, but still very easy to wear. And I look at this bottle and I smell this fragrance and I think if emerald had a smell, it would smell like this. This next one's a designer, and I've had this for quite a while. I received it as a prize for a photography competition that I entered, and I'm slightly embarrassed to say that I didn't really try it until very recently. It was sitting at the back of my shelf. It was gathering some dust. I'm so pleased that I've recently rediscovered it at the back of my shelf, and I've started to wear this because it's a really beautiful fragrance, especially for this time of year. It's from the house of Zegna, and it's called Talent, and it's from their Element of Man line. This one has citrus, pepper, patchouli, cedar and black tea. It's got a really modern, masculine feel. It's got a fresh spiciness, but also an assured depth that comes along with it from the woods that are in here. It's juxtaposed beautifully by this really calming tea note. So you've got the lively, fresh, spicy aspect of this fragrance, and that calming tea note just balances really well. So glad I found this one. The next one is from Imaginary Authors. It's my second favourite from the house, my first being Memoirs of a Trespasser, but this one is just perfect for spring, better for spring than Memoirs of a Trespasser, because that really works in the autumn and in the winter. This one is Cape Heartache. This is like a walk through an enchanted forest. It's got fir, it's got pine, so it's got this gorgeous foresty green camphorates quality that pairs with a note of strawberry. Who'd have thought that would work, but somehow it just does. I'm going to read you the notes as they're on the back of the bottle. Douglas fir, pine resin, western hemlock, vanilla leaf, strawberry, old growth and mountain fog. It's bright, it's artistic, it's easy to wear and full of life. Love Cape Heartache. For the next one, I'm sticking with that camphress feel. This one is an offering from Creed, the only one from Creed in this list. It's one that I've recently acquired. I've smelled this for years, but always just had samples and decants, but I finally got a bottle. I'm talking about Royal Mayfair. So what's funny about this one is I often hear it described as underrated, but every time I mention it, every time anyone else mentions it, most people say they love it, so it seems to be quite highly rated. Whether that's just in recent times, more people are discovering this and enjoying it. The thing I love most about this fragrance is, first of all, it's very, very sophisticated, classy stuff. It's for that kind of put together gentleman. It's got a gorgeous eucalyptus note. Some people say that the smell of this reminds them a little bit of mothballs. Now, I've never smelt mothballs and I'm kind of glad I haven't, because I might have an association with this scent that I wouldn't enjoy. So never smelled mothballs, don't know if this smells like it or not. Some people say it does. I'd say it leans maybe a little more to the mature, so I think probably you want to be about 30 plus if you're wearing this, but if you can pull this off, it is outrageously classy. It is said that Creed originally made this for the Duke of Windsor. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it certainly does have a very regal sophistication about it.
Join the Scent Geeks every Monday as we podcast about all things fragrance. You'll find us anywhere you can usually find a podcast. Links are in the description below this video. See you there, geeks.
This next one's from a brand that were around last year and then they went away for a while. I'm not quite sure why, but they're back. And they're back with a rebrand. They have 3 fragrances in their current lineup. This one is, out of all their fragrances, probably the one that is most perfect for spring. It's called Undergrowth. Yeah, talk about perfect for spring. In this one we've got soil, mint, green grassy notes and earthy vetiver. This is a smell that reminds me of my childhood. It reminds me of playing in the grass, of playing in the woods, and it also reminds me of the smell of forests when I'm mountain biking. So I do a lot of mountain biking, and particularly in the summer or the spring, there's a certain smell, there's a certain green smell that comes from all the undergrowth, and this really reminds me of that, so it captures that perfectly. But it doesn't just smell of that. This added mint gives it an extra kind of lift and lots of life, and it's got a sweetness to it as well. So it isn't just the smell of undergrowth, it's kind of inspired by the undergrowth, I would say. It's a really, really lovely smell. It's a great creative scent from an artistic brand. Rook if you want artisanal, artistic, creative perfumery that is still wearable. Lovely. Next up is one from Tom Ford. The scent DNA of this one is pretty much the definition of the gentlemanly aromatic fougere. It's Beau de Jour. At the heart of this fragrance is lavender. Lavender, lavender, lavender. This one is a lavender bomb, and did I mention lavender? So if you don't like lavender, you probably won't like this one. There's also some lovely green mossy notes. There's a slight herbal nuance coming from the rosemary, so it's very gentlemanly, very put together. Kind of harkens back to old school style barbershop fragrances, but I still think it's modern enough to wear today. Some people do get that old-timey association with lavender. I don't particularly get that, so to me it doesn't feel old-fashioned. Some people say it does. We all have different associations. It's all open to interpretation. So get your nose on this, smell it, see what you think. I think it's really, really classy stuff. Another designer, this one is from Dior. This made my spring list last year. I just think it works so well at this time. This works well any time of the year, but particularly in the spring, I think it excels. This is one of those that has that classic gentlemanly cologne style. It is Dior's Eau Sauvage Parfum. This type of fragrance has been around for a long time. It's got that classic gentlemanly feel. This one is a more modern interpretation of the original 1966 Eau Sauvage. If you're someone who does have that old-timey association with lavender, then this is definitely a classic cologne style scent that you might get on with more. I would say it still leans a little more mature. I think you'd probably want to be about 25 plus to wear this fragrance. This is one to wear if you want to feel bold, empowered, classy, confident. It's assertive, it's gentlemanly. Yeah, can't really go wrong with this one. Niche next, and this one is pretty new to me, but I've been wearing this a lot over the last couple of months, and I'll certainly be wearing this a lot through spring. It is slightly on the heavier side for a spring fragrance, but where I am here we can have some very cool spring days, so this one will definitely work for me in the spring. I'm very proud to have in my collection Oud for Greatness from Initio. An important thing to note with this one is the oud is not too heavy in here. It's definitely not skanky. If it was, it might just be a little bit too heavy, a little bit too much to wear, particularly on warmer spring days. So the oud is here just giving some punchiness, but we've got some nutmeg, some saffron, some lavender. So all those things give this fragrance a nice bit of lift. It does have quite a heavy base. It's got this dry, dusty, earthy thing going on, but it doesn't make it too heavy for me personally to wear in the spring. It's beast mode, it's a compliment getter, definitely greatness. I've just had to change my angle here because even though it's a gorgeous spring morning, we've got sunshine, it's moving around in the sky, it's going behind trees, it's causing shadows. So sorry about these changing lighting conditions, just the challenges of shooting outside. But if we want daffodils, we've got to accept that. Okay, so I'm on to the final one, which is one of my favourite niche houses. This one comes courtesy of Roja, and out of all the fragrances in the Roja Parfums lineup, I would say this is probably the one that is the best for spring. It's from the Parfum Cologne line and it's Scandal. This one is an absolute beauty. Another great one from this line for spring is Vetiver in the green bottle. That is very versatile, as is this one. You can wear either of these two all year round, but they both work really well in the spring. So I love the Vetiver, but for me, I love this one a little bit more. It's got a bit more pop to it, a bit more life. It's a little more assertive than the Vetiver. So in this one, we've got some citruses, some mint, lavender, spices and woods. It's got a great assertive masculine quality about it. Whenever I wear this, I feel confident, I feel empowered. It really sings in spring, Scandal. As is tradition with these videos, the number one on my list is the fragrance I wear today, so I am going to apply some Scandal. This is good stuff. If you've not smelt Scandal, try to get your nose on this. It is such a beautiful juice. Oh yes, now I'm ready for spring. So there it is, my spring list for 2020. Thank you for joining me in this lovely spring-like location. So let me know what your favourite spring fragrances are. Maybe drop your top 3 spring fragrances in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you, because if it's something I've not tried, then I can then go out and try and get my nose on it, and if I like it, add it to the collection. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, keep tuning into FM and keep smelling good.